Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this episode of Acquisitions Anonymous. This is the internet's #1 podcast on buying, selling, and operating small businesses. My name is Bill D'Alessandro, and today you get the full complement of all four hosts, myself, Mills, Snell, Heather Anderson, and Michael Girdley. And we have a cool deal. It is a golf club and restaurant in a developed area near neighborhoods for sale. It is in Moyock, North Carolina. There's something really interesting about Moyock that I share in the episode, so stick around for that. This is profitable. Makes like $600,000 a year. Golf, restaurant, bar, kind of local gathering place. Can't really replace it. So it's a really interesting deal. I hope you enjoy this episode of Acquisitions Anonymous.
So Acquisitions Anonymous.
Hello, another episode of Acquisitions Anonymous.
We don't have 100% beard anymore.
And thumbs downing on just the plus inventory line.
So many founders and operators still use their personal number to talk to customers. And sure, that works when you're just starting out, but eventually it starts costing you time and money. That's where OpenPhone comes in. It's a modern business phone system that lives in an app. You get one number and your whole team can use it like a shared inbox for calls, text, voicemails, all in one place. Somebody reaches out to you, your ops lead can reply. Your co-founder can follow up. You don't have to be the bottleneck anymore. And if you miss a call, OpenPhone's AI agent picks it up, answers questions, and even logs new leads for you. It's one of those tools that makes you wonder why you didn't switch over sooner. 60,000 businesses already have. OpenPhone is offering our listeners 20% off your first 6 months at openphone.com/AAPOD. That's OPENPHONE.com/AAPOD. And if you have existing numbers with another service, OpenPhone will port them over at no extra charge. OpenPhone, no missed calls, no missed customers.
You have to ask yourself, Bill, like, why is golf the only sport that people like create clubs around? Like, why isn't there a bicycling club or like a racket club anymore? Just shows you the tyranny of golfers.
Infrastructure for bicycling, right? Welcome to Acquisition Anonymous. Michael hates golf clubs.
Michael, you're a bike rider. You're a cyclist. You're not part of a club?
No, I'm part of a club, but we don't have like a
The club doesn't own real estate. That's
right.
Real key.
So it's actually really interesting. I went over to Spain for my anniversary and I looked to see, well, should I like try to take my bike and I could go like have this cool experience and go ride with like a bunch of old dudes in like Girona or Valencia or one of these towns. And I started to look at the clubs and they're entirely different over there. Like a lot of these are basically social clubs where the people ride their bikes from them, but they own like a clubhouse. It's like an Elks Lodge for bicycles in Spain. And it was too intimidating for me. I couldn't sign up for this.
I thought you were going to tell us that they were like gangsters and like, you know, you were going to get initiated into the club.
Also awesome.
I love that. I think more hobbies should have clubhouses. I mean, right? We need more get-together places and people could be part of a clubhouse. I would join a club that had a clubhouse. I'm in.
Equestrians have the barn. It's kind of the same thing. You hang out at the barn. Yep.
Yeah. You hang out with people who are into the thing you're into.
Yep.
One of the things, I had a question for you about equestrian stuff, Heather, which is like there is so much high fashion in equestrian now.
Yes.
Like I look at these ladies' outfits and they are going all out. Like what do you think, why is that? Like what is causing that kind of nature?
I mean, it's an expensive sport. So I think that the businesses that, you know, that make equestrian apparel know that, and they're very high ticket items. You know, some of it is necessary, right? There's at least some of it is functional, right? Some of the boots and the breeches and everything, you need it to be a certain way depending on what you're doing. But it goes way, way beyond that to fashion, and they charge a really high price for all of it because they know that their customer has a lot of money to spend on the sport, and they are spending a lot of money on the sport. So, like anything, it's all the accessories that people make money on.
And what is fun about riding a horse? Like, why do you like this?
Well, because it's one of those things that you and the horse have to have a relationship. And so the simplest thing is actually really difficult. And when you finally achieve it with the horse that you're riding, it's a huge accomplishment. So even though it looks like we're just trotting around in circles and doing little basic things, it takes a lot of nonverbal communication with a big animal, and there's something special about that to people that do it. Yeah.
So it's kind of like being married to a man.
Yeah.
Do you have
Okay.
that kind of relationship with your bike, Michael? Is it a special bond?
He's got to whisper sweet nothings in the handlebars to get to do what he wants.
Great question that you guys are making me fun of me for, but I will give you a truthful answer to it. There is something that happens physiologically to, I think, a person in their brain when you go through like a shared trauma with something else. And I've seen that happen to me with the bicycles. Like when you're on a bicycle, you could be doing a 3 or 4 hour ride, like going through like just total hell, like seeing spots. And that level of trauma, whatever it is, like it elicits like that level of kind of camaraderie that I have for the bicycle. And like my wife knows, like the first thing I check for, like if somebody accidentally leaves the garage door open or the house door flies open or whatever, I'm like, what's up with the bicycles? Like, did anything happen to my bicycles? Seriously.
So yours is trauma related. Mine is like more like nurturing. See, that's why women like horses
empath.
more often.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it's the same, but you see how, team cohesion happens when people go through shared trauma and shared difficulties. And it happens in military boot camp. It happens when people go to war. It happens when companies barely survive and turn around and have a good exit. Like they have that special bond that's there. I happen to have it with a bicycle made of carbon fiber and 2 wheels.
So what you're saying is when you make something simple really hard, somehow it's fun. And that's what golf is, right? Trying to put a little ball in a hole and it's a good walk spoiled, I think, as Harvey Penick used to say.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Would you guys like for me to show you a loop net deal that I brought today?
I love loop net deals because there's usually real estate.
Let me pitch you on this deal because there's a lot of interesting stuff happening in the golf world. And it's on LoopNet, and it's the Golf Club and Grill at Eagle Creek in Moyock, North Carolina. So,
where is that? I've never even heard of that.
Let me tell you something super cool about Moyock, North Carolina, that you probably don't know. So this is in like the eastern part of the state, like the middle of nowhere. There's like nothing here. But do you know what is there? The headquarters for Blackwater, the paramilitary contractor. Yes. Now known as Z, I think, or whatever iteration of it they're in now. They have essentially their own private military base outside of Moyock, North Carolina, where they like blow shit up and like fly helicopters and all of the like major military equipment they own. They practice and play with it in Moyock. Yeah. You can't go there. It's like their private spot. That's their HQ.
Well, let me read this deal to you and pitch you on this deal because maybe Blackwater has something to do with this business even being in existence. So
maybe so.
Okay, the asking price is $4.6 million. They have some pictures here of this golf course. And they have outside picnic tables, a little clubhouse, and looks like a bar, fire pit, some dudes in golf carts.
Whoa.
What? And then if you're on YouTube, you can see there's a picture of a lady with her tongue out.
The server is
fake
very
eyelashes
about
and
the
she's
French
carrying.
The server is making like a hard rock and roll, like Kiss the Band face with her tongue while she's carrying people's food to the table. Moving on.
And then
that's
a stock photo of some boomers playing. No, these are Gen X. Sorry, some Gen X.
They're all
Sorry,
so excited about this putt this woman's making.
Hitting a putt in and then back to the original photo. Wow, that was a wild ride. We could sell tickets for that. Okay.
It looks nice. Nice.
Mm-hmm. It looks like kind of, Bill, you're like this kind of ex-urban, like rural golf course like that. We have some of those around San Antonio. I assume you have them around Charlotte where somebody just went out into a field somewhere and bought 50 acres and was like, here's a golf club in the middle of nowhere.
That's what this is because Moyock is the middle of nowhere. So like this is there's all kinds of land out there. So they built a clubhouse and a golf course and it might be like a legit gathering place. You know, how many other places where you can go get dinner and like swim in a pool and look out at fireplace over the lake, etc. This could be a destination. Well, tell us more about it, Michael.
Asking price is $4.6 million. Inventory is $300,000. That's a lot of golf balls. Real estate is $2.6 million, and it's been around since 1997, so it's 28 years old as of this recording. It is an established The Golf Club and Grill at Eagle Creek for sale. All caps, please read in full before contacting me. Do not call the business. It is a full grill and 200-person event center currently doing over $250,000 a month in revenue, and all golf course equipment paid for and goes with the property. It's a turnkey business with established customer base in an up-and-coming area. There's a small apartment above the pro shop rentable for an Airbnb. It has been profitable for the last 3 years with stable revenue of $2 million to $3 million, including $2.4 million last 12 months revenue from the golf course, restaurant, and events. It operates at 20 to 25% profit margins, so $600,000, and strong operations are in place with potential need for a new day-to-day manager in 6 to 12 months. It is a great lifestyle business as operations are humming and growing. There are full long-term employees already in place. Financials and tax returns, all caps, not available.
Oh,
Sales reports available with proof of funds. Recent appraisal at $2.8 million available. No SBA buyers, please. All caps. Please send a signed NDA and proof of funds. And is located in Moyock, North Carolina. Inventory is included in asking price. Real estate is owned. 4,000 square foot building, 31 employees. Has a bunch of parking spaces. And it is one of the only local courses and restaurants in a 20-mile radius. And the owner will stay for 6 months to help you transition and is now retiring. And they put a map of where this thing is. It's Moyock, kind of in the middle of nowhere.
it's like very northeastern North Carolina, probably about an hour in from the coast, near the North Carolina-Virginia line.
All right, can we go straight to the elephant in the room? Why are financials and tax returns not available, Heather?
Oh boy, they are not reporting their income, or they're reporting it way lower than what they're saying here. And they're basically saying, we don't have any documentation you can use to qualify for a loan, so don't even think you're going to go get a loan on this. Or they're saying no SBA loan, but I mean, what other kind of loan can you get that doesn't require the tax returns and the financial statements to be verified? So I think we have a big problem here.
Yeah, I mean, no SBA buyers, please. In fairness, if they're not going to give any tax returns or financial statements, you're not getting an SBA loan. You probably shouldn't waste your time.
Right.
But how are they not going to give you financial statements? But then earlier in the same paragraph, they quote that profit margins are between 20 and 25%, $600K on $2.4 million.
Well, you notice too that they say profitable for the last 3 years. It makes me think that it's been around since 1997. There's maybe some questionable years in there.
Yeah, that was the thing that made me nervous too.
Yeah. It's profitable for the last 3 years, which is odd. And we don't have any tax returns to prove that.
Okay, on its face, what do we have here? We have a golf club and a bar and grill attached to it.
There's 700 Google reviews.
Wow.
For something in this area, that is massive.
Are they good, Mills?
Yeah, it's 4.5 stars.
Okay. So you have a good golf club that people like in Moyock, North Carolina, that is making $2.4 million in sales, clearing $600,000 a year. It's presumably somewhat membership based, right? Which is probably positive. Let's take them at face value that they say the area that it's in is growing, which would be very important for something like this. On the face of it, this isn't a bad business, right? I mean, what do we think about that as a business? Are you Michael? I know that you are super bullish on golf long term, but would you guys buy a golf club that is profitable, 20, 25% profit margins in a growing area?
I'm questioning how profitable it really is.
Wow, Heather.
I've seen tennis clubs before. I've seen the financials, and a lot of times, a lot of the revenue is actually coming from alcohol and food sales in the restaurant, and those margins are tricky. That's a difficult business to be in, and it ends up being you're mostly in the restaurant business, and you get a little bit of membership revenue as well. Not all, but I feel like that could be the case in some of these golf clubs like this. And you've got to have cash flow enough to make this worth 4.6 million, because they're telling you that the real estate's worth about 2.6 million. So that's great. The real estate, I think, is pretty valuable. It's got to be a lot of acreage there. It's got a cost to maintain it as a golf course. But to pay that extra $2 million, you're buying an enterprise, and it's unclear, where the revenues are coming from, just, how much money you can really make in this business.
So, Heather, do you like it better if most of the revenue is from memberships and golf?
Yes, I would like that a lot better. I would think that's more stable, and I would think the margins are a little bit more easy to control. When it comes mostly from the restaurant, alcohol, food sales, I think it's a little more volatile. It would be just like lending, in my world, lending to a restaurant is tough to do. This is a restaurant with a captive audience, a captive customer base, but it's still a restaurant.
My two spidey sense things going on here are, number one, they say they don't have financials or tax returns. Number two, this guy is clearly listing it himself. I guess this is him, Timothy Pash. The combination of lack of tax returns, that there's like a sketchy apartment in the building, and that he would think it's appropriate to put this picture of a young lady in the thing with her tongue out. Like those three things, like it's just like super spidey sense to me. There's just like, I don't know if this is the type of quagmire I want to get into from like I don't want to say classiness, but like kind of, yeah, let's say it feels yucky. That's what I'm saying.
There's some risk mitigation that you're interested in, personally, character-wise.
It's the same reason I'm not like, hey, I want to go open a Hooters franchise.
Yeah.
And it's just like, this just isn't where I want to be.
I agree with Bill, though. Like, this is probably a very good business. I'm not saying this one specifically, but this generically is a good business in an area that's not going anywhere. It's really hard to build a new golf course. It's really expensive to build a new golf course. They're probably not doing it, in rural North Carolina like this. They might be doing it in like the Asheville area and these big destinations, but then they get like a designer of golf courses who's like epic to build them. This is probably very old. It probably predates 1997, if you had to guess. I mean, the golf course itself. But one of the things I'm interested in with this is if you look at it on a map, it's like completely surrounded by a neighborhood. And they say there are new neighborhoods going in, which it does look like is going on there. A lot of times there's like an HOA component to neighborhood golf courses. And I wonder if there's anything more there on this, because you have all these people who live on the golf course and probably, benefit from it. And then there's usually some HOA dues and fees associated with that.
I wonder about the dynamic. So Mills, it's interesting that you say it's totally surrounded by neighborhood, because one thing I was going to say is if this is in a growing area and it's hard to build new ones, on one hand, like great, it's hard to, I can have competition. On the other hand, you're also sort of land banking here.
Yes.
And like eventually you can wipe the golf course and realize a ton of value in the real estate. But that's harder to do if you've got, 200 homes who expect to be living on a golf course. Right. And I don't even know if you're allowed to do that. I want to understand the deed restrictions on the land.
Totally. It is like 5 miles from the Blackwater site. So it's like, it's incredibly close. And there's also like a massive, massive solar farm right nearby it. I don't hate this. I agree with Michael. It seems like there's just the contagion risk of it is a little bit weird. But I mean, is there a price that makes sense where you kind of plan for the worst? I mean, you can't get financials. It sounds like all you can get is sales data, no expense information from them. Is that the way you guys are understanding it?
Maybe. Now, even if you don't get financials, you do have a mortgage as an option here, right? Because you're buying a bunch of land. So there is hard asset value. So you can get a mortgage, you get a land value loan, right? For at least some of it.
You've got to show some way to repay it. So somebody could come along who has outside income, and they could prove to a bank that they could pay it regardless. But if they don't have that, even that kind of loan, they're going to want to see how you're going to generate cash flow off this property. And if you can't produce historical financial statements, it's going to be a problem for most loans.
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to, I just don't see how anybody can possibly buy this without historical financials. I mean, that's,
Yeah.
Which, I mean, proof of funds, like whenever somebody asks for proof of funds, I always think it's funny on a business transaction because the person who has $5 million in cash to show you in their bank account is not sinking it into a rural golf course, right? And an astute broker or advisor knows that nobody's paying 100% cash for a business 99% of the time anyways. So it's like whenever I would deal with brokers when I was doing a lot more buy side work and they would like ask for a copy of your driver's license. And it's like, I'm representing a firm. Like, you don't need my driver's license. Like, you don't have to credit check me,
Yeah, I think the key for most of the listings that we look at, and certainly that I work with, is for the brokers to know what's financeable. But instead, they are still stuck on asking for how much cash do you have? And that doesn't really answer the question. You could have a lot of cash and the deal could still not be financeable at the value that they're asking.
Well, let's call a spade a spade. This thing's not financeable because this guy's not paying his taxes.
That's what it is.
What's going on.
Yep. And he's admitting it publicly, which is, I always find this very strange in our space that, people will, here we know exactly what business this is. They're admitting publicly something that, the IRS could come knocking on their door. I think that's a crazy thing to do.
Are you ready to take the leap into business ownership, but you don't know where to start? Well, look no further than Acquisition Lab, the premier resource for entrepreneurs seeking to buy their dream business. Founded by Harvard MBA and acquisition expert Walker Deibel, the lab is your fast track to success in the search, diligence, and acquisition process. With hands-on support, world-class resources, and a community of like-minded entrepreneurs, Acquisition Lab gives you the tools and confidence to navigate every step of the journey. And we're proud to call Walker and Chelsea, the lab's director, longtime friends of the podcast. They're passionate about helping entrepreneurs like you take the next big step. So don't wait to make your business ownership dream a reality. Visit acquisitionlab.com today to learn more and schedule your free consultation. And when you do, be sure to tell them the Acquisitions Anonymous podcast sent you.
Okay, well, is it possible, give this person the benefit of the doubt, is it possible the owner is the developer of the surrounding neighborhood and it's never been broken out on its own, right? It's kind of run it's just not run with very organized books, right? I'm not saying he's not making up an income statement, or not making up, but like poorly preparing with a Moyock, North Carolina CPA, some sort of, tax return every year, but it's lumped in with his development activity of all the land around. And, it's just totally unclean. And so it seems like a lot of work to this dude to prepare and present financial statements just for the Eagle Creek Golf Club and Grill. And he's like, geez, I'd rather not do that. I'm just going to put that in the listing.
Could be. And that would be like what we call a carve out. So if it's, a more professional broker would say this is a carve out, doesn't have its own standalone tax returns. And that would be what you're saying. So it could be that he just didn't know how to say that.
So you suggesting like right approach on this? We haven't talked about if it's overpriced or not. That's probably our next discussion. But so you see sketchy signals in a deal like this, Bill. You're saying like, okay, well, maybe there's a chance that it's not sketchy. Maybe it's a carve out. Maybe they're just positioning the business poorly. You give them a call and then you just have your ears open for some sketchiness and then you pull the ripcord at the moment you see it.
Michael, you just described like that is how good deals are made. In SMB land, right? Like sellers who aren't that organized, sellers who don't want to hire a professional intermediary, because guess what? Professional intermediaries get the market price for a business, right? Without one, you might get not the market price for a business in a good way, right? They might not know what they've got. They're probably open to more creative deal structures that are off market. For me, just because it's hairy, that's not a reason not to call the guy. Like call him, and if it smells like tax fraud, you walk away. But I'm not willing to just assume tax fraud from a listing here and then not even call on it. Yeah. I think that's how you miss really good opportunities in buying small businesses.
I totally agree. I think there's a price. I mean, you got to check those boxes and make sure you're in the clear. But I think there is probably a price and a structure in which this works. I did a little bit of Googling, and it does seem like the owner's last name is Pash, or however you pronounce this. It's not Timothy. Another name comes up. But I mean, you go to their website, it actually seems like they're doing all the things they need to be doing. It's a modern website. They have a really great video with like drone footage of the golf course and the facilities. You can order online food. They are open. This is interesting to me. On Friday and Saturday, they're open till 11 p.m., which tells me that it's a bar, right? There's a very, this is a social place outside of golf. They have live music. They have all these events. I'm optimistic that hopefully it is not just outright tax fraud, and it's just more that they, there's some other reason. I'm hopeful, but I'm talking myself out of that as the logical conclusion.
Oh, you can have a wedding
I agree with
here.
you, Bill. It's worth asking questions and finding out how they answer it, and if it could be that it's intertangled. It's a family business or something, and they're throwing these financials in with something else, and they don't understand. You could do a carve out, like someone could bring their quality of earnings CPA along, and might cost a lot of money, but they could eventually reconstruct some P&Ls here if it's just tangled up in another business, and maybe they just didn't know how to say that.
Yeah, and it's probably tangled up in their. I mean, obviously, like they own the real estate. Like it's probably tangled up in their real estate holdco. I bet it's just hard to figure out, and they don't have a broker, and they probably got a couple calls of people that were asking for like really detailed financial questions, and they're like, ugh, and then they edited the listing like, no financials, stop asking me, no SBA buyers, stop bothering me, blah humbug, like I think that's what's going on.
Yeah, and this is where a broker could have helped, a good broker. Yep.
I've gotten kind of far down the path before trying to buy a business that didn't have very accurate tax returns and didn't have internally compiled financials. I mean, it is possible to do, but you basically, I think, Heather, you made this point, like you basically have to start doing a Q of E and get monthly bank statements and start building your own financials, based on those.
Yes.
And it's very, very labor intensive.
Yeah.
But I mean, assuming that you can actually get them to send you PDFs of their bank statements, then you can go somewhere with this. I once had to go on a site visit. It was a Hasidic Jewish seller in New Jersey, and he had a really hard time sending like financial information. And so me and our in-house counsel flew to New Jersey and went to his house and sat at his kitchen table, and he basically pulled up his QuickBooks file, and we just ran all the reports we needed and emailed them to ourselves. And it was a very unforgettable experience.
Mills, I bought a business as a sunscreen business, flew to the guy's house in Kansas, and he gave me a yellow legal pad and credit card statements, and I rebuilt the financials.
Yeah.
And we bought
and
that
you
business.
Probably didn't overpay for the business, did you?
No, I don't think I did.
So, yeah.
But that was when I was young and stupid, and I reconstructed financial statements for me, all legal pads. But I do not think we got a Q of E on that one.
What do we think about the price on this? So the one thing I liked, by the way, about the business when we looked at the website was it looks like there's a ton of development around this. So replacing and competing with this place is going to be really tough. Like there's just finding the acreage and rebuilding this is right on. I think that was your point, Bill. But do we think 4.6 is where this should be valued at?
So they're asking 4.6, but it says the real estate is 2.6. I'm going to be charitable here and assume the real estate is included if you pay 4.6 for this, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So they're asking for the business, say, makes $600K. They're asking basically $2 million for the business and 2.6 for the real estate. How do we feel about businesses that use the real estate to derive the net income?
Are they doing, I guess they're not doing separate books. I guess my question is, are they paying a market rent for the real estate? And clearly they're not. So, yeah.
So
it's like you need the golf course to make the money, to make the 600,000. So you have to value it on the cash flow. And maybe you pay more because you, like to your point, maybe you believe there's a long-term appreciation of the real estate for development or something. But if you're trying to buy it on cash flow, you can't pay 4.6 because you've only got 600,000 of cash flow.
Yeah. So in real estate terms, so they're basically you would have 4.6 million into this, and then you'd be making 600K. So this is a 13 cap in real estate terms, 13% yield, which is tough because you're running a restaurant. Like this isn't like a parking lot, or
you're not collecting rents.
Yeah.
And I think they've already squeezed a lot of the like, I don't look at this and go, wow, there's amazing room for improvement. Like, they don't have a liquor license, or they don't have, like, they have golf lessons. They already do events. Like, they have a shop. They're already getting all the ancillary kind of revenue streams that, at least that come to mind for me at first glance. So I don't know that you look at it and go, oh, I could easily add $500,000 or $1 million of revenue by just clipping kind of the low hanging fruit.
Yeah. I mean, you're betting on the growth of the area. And then you'd want to figure out, can you ultimately bulldoze a golf course and build homes? I think it's like functionally that simple. And if the area is on a rocket ship trajectory and that this is eventually going to be houses and not a golf course, you could probably do pretty well here. If this has to be a golf course forever, it's a 13% return on your capital. Now, you get a loan and, maybe you juice that, but you're running a restaurant.
We can end on this note, but I think the person who should buy this and the best person to buy this is a local high net worth individual who derives a ton of value out of being the local owner and already being in this place. And it kind of him owning the watering hole, so to speak. It's all your friends are there. You're the man about town, like you're the big wig, and you just put a real feather in your cap by owning this.
And you like to play golf, and you have your business associates over for dinner, and you play golf with them, and and you're doing okay on your money.
Yeah,
for the right person, it's really not bad. I think it's tough if you don't want to move to Moyock, North Carolina.
On that note, is that a thumbs up for the right person, Bill?
Yeah, for me, I think so. I mean, assuming you're bullish on Moyock, you want to live in the rough area anyway, and you don't mind being there. I probably negotiate with them on price a little bit, and I make them seller finance it, and I try to juice my return in that way. Mm-hmm. But if I was the guy in Moyock and Mills just described, I'd be looking at this.
Mills, it's probably Tim's relative, is what is what we're saying too.
Heather, where are you?
I'll agree with Bill's scenario. Only that, and outside of that, thumbs down.
Well, in the listing, they told Heather to get lost. They said no SBA.
Yeah, exactly.
I knew Heather wasn't going to like it.
I'm offended.
Yeah.
What if we threw in some horses?
Now it's starting to look better. Yes, I agree. I always wanted to ride a horse on a golf course. It looks like the perfect place to gallop a horse,
That's a great point.
Yep.
On that note, I think it's a good place to end. Thank you all for being here for this episode of Acquisitions Anonymous. If you would do us a favor, tell a friend about the podcast. That is the best way we can grow. So if you love it, tell somebody else that they will love it too. And we'd appreciate it greatly. See you next week.